It's funny. Once the government establishes some institution, it's looked upon as part of the cosmic landscape, like it's always been there and it always will be and it should be. And a perfect example of this is the central bank here in the United States, the Federal Reserve, which has been an unmitigated disaster since its establishment in 1913. Previous to the establishment of the Federal Reserve in this country, the currency was gold. You had it in your pocket. It was exchangeable for paper for convenience. And there was no inflation in the country. In fact, prices constantly went down, down, down throughout the 19th century as the amount of capital and savings and technology, these things naturally decreased prices. So not only did you get interest on your dollars, but by saving dollars, your dollars were generally worth more every year, which encouraged people to save. And that's how you become wealthy, by saving in excess of production over consumption. Since 1913, with the creation of the Federal Reserve, the dollar is lost, and it depends on whose figures you want to believe. I no longer believe the government's figures. They're the ones that have a big interest in not creating a panic by saying inflation is already running at the levels that it is. But the dollar has lost something like 96% of its value since 1913, and it's going to get much worse in the years to come, much worse. So what I would do, what I'd recommend happen, and this isn't going to happen before we hit the bottom of the crisis when everything's going to be reorganized, but the Federal Reserve has got to be abolished. It's completely, it serves no useful purpose. It's unnecessary. The only purpose that it serves is to help, look, when you have an inflation, the beneficiaries of an inflation are always the people on the top of society, the rich people. Why? The rich people have the assets and the connections that make it easy for them to borrow and profit from inflation. They can hire the tax attorneys to keep their tax bill down. They can hire the accountants to do the same. They can hire the investment advice to make sure they're in the right things. And the poor little guy at the bottom, he's the one that gets screwed. The little guy at the bottom is the one that ought to be screaming for sound money and the abolition of the central bank in this country. But, you know, it hasn't happened so far, and it won't happen until we reach the bottom of the crisis.